Hey everyone, welcome back to TBM Sports. Let's talk about the Week 5 picks here in college football. We'll try to cap off another great Saturday as we went 5-0 on the card last week. And the midweek games leading up till today, a 1-2 record. We did have one cash yesterday within the Florida State over. That was a rocking chair bet as we did see an OT game. But we saw the upset. Virginia, the Cavaliers took down the Seminoles. So a top 10 team to fall on Friday Night Lights. We'll talk about the Saturday games. We have a lot of primetime matchups, and there are 5 best bets that I'll give you guys here on the channel. And also, there's a lot of games that we're going to be getting into that I do have leans on, so make sure you stick around to the end. We'll talk about all of these games in their entirety and give you my feel, my inclination, and I'll talk to you about some of the numbers that are allowing me to handicap some of these games. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, awesome. I do welcome all you new subscribers. Hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And also, if you are one of the returning subscribers, I thank you for your continued support, and let's get it going. Let's talk some college football. To break down these games, we are going to be using Outlier. If you have not signed up with Outlier, 7-day free trial in the description. This is my go-to for putting together all of my trends, my stats, my props, and a lot of the betting insights in the market. So if you're not using Outlier, like I said, 7-day free trial, and it's basically pays for itself. Do not overpay for bets out there, and the juice is something where you can find a definite advantage between sports books if you are using a platform such as Outlier. Okay, so let's get into it. There are a lot of needs out there for Vegas. Okay, we're seeing a lot of publicly bet games. And that's kind of something that I do look forward to. And one of the reasons why I put this video out a little later in the week is because I want to make sure we get the best numbers possible. And yes, there are some times where it does behoove us to take those opening numbers. But I think in my experience, more times than not, if a game's going to move that far off the number, you probably shouldn't be betting it unless there's something within steam injuries or something that early on the public just does not pick up on. But we'll talk about that. Let's get in that first game, okay? And we're going to be talking about one of the primetime games. Huge slate of action today. Not only do we have the Ryder Cup going on, but we got noon kicks, 3:30 kicks, 7:30 kicks. So definitely a multi-TV kind of day. So sit back, let's enjoy, and let's try to cash some tickets. The first game on the card is the big one, okay? And we have Notre Dame traveling down, so little hogs there as they do take on the Razorbacks of Arkansas. So John Daly and the Fighting Irish are going to be fired up for this one. And guys, I got to tell you, I like Notre Dame, and I am a Notre Dame fan. So if you don't want to follow this pick, I completely agree. But this is something where, yes, Arkansas 2-2 on the season has shown some flashes. I do think that they can do enough offensively. The one thing I will tell you about Arkansas, they might have a little look-ahead game as we were on the Memphis Tigers last week, losing 32-31 outright. I kind of wish they did win that game because now their backs up are against the wall, losing a non-conference to a non-conference opponent on the road, 2-2 on the season. Their playoff hopes are pretty much all but forgotten if they do lose to the Fighting Irish, and this will be a tough road spot. But we did see the likes of CJ Carr make a tough road matchup within the Miami Hurricanes. So I think that environment will be very similar, if not more severe than what they will be getting, even though it's SEC country. But I just think this is something where this is do or die for Notre Dame, okay? And we've seen this before when their backs are against the wall. And quite frankly, whenever they're a team that Vegas needs, I do love the Fighting Irish a little bit more so. And if you would have asked me before the season, right, or even after week 1, before that loss to Texas A&M, I probably would have told you this is a game that I'd be on the Arkansas Razorback side. But as we've seen this number tick down from a summer opening number of 12.5, where the Fighting Irish were considerable favorites, now we're getting it at 4.5, depending on where you do bet it. I'm going to lay the 4 points with Notre Dame as my first official best bet. I think that the defense will show up. I think that Marcus Freeman has had enough time to kind of get his guys in the right positions, and we saw that last week a little bit. And I don't want to say the 30 points they give up to Purdue is a data point. There was a weather delay, so it's very hard to come back and kind of back that up. But looking at that 56 points that Notre Dame did put up on the Boilers, I do think that does tell a little bit more of the picture that we are going to be looking at today. I think Notre Dame's offense will thrive. I think they'll be able to run the football. And yes, they're not completely healthy yet, and I don't fully trust that defense, but I do think that in a game where their backs are against the wall, they have to win. This is where I do like Notre Dame -4 quite a bit. So I will be laying it with the Fighting Irish, and I also kind of lean towards that over as we do see it set at 63.5. if we do get a defensive mishap and there just is no defense, I think that where we saw Arkansas score 31 points against Memphis, they put up 35 against Mississippi, and there's just a lot of numbers that do back up the offense of the Razorbacks. So I think that if they are going to cover the 4.5, I think this is where you do look at the Razorbacks Fighting Irish going over the total of 63.5. Probably as a strong lean, but I do think that Notre Dame is a team of need. We're going to be back in the Fighting Irish -4 in the spot. Next game, USC and Illinois. This is another game where I don't want to overreact a little bit too much from the Illinois-Indiana game we got last week. I do want to talk about the team total, though, for USC. One thing that's concerning to me, and I'll be the first to admit when I was wrong, I was a little bit too high on Duke in my power rankings, and the Blue Devils there, as we look at this, they gave up, the Illini gave up a lot of yards per play to Duke, even though that game was, a little bit out of hand. So I don't fully trust the Illinois defense coming in 3-1 on this day. And as we look at the USC team total, this is something where it's concerning to me, where I almost bet this, but concerning to me a little bit with USC's data points on the road versus at home. And this is a noon kick. They do travel west to east. It does make a difference with the body clocks, with the time zone difference. But if you want to get involved in this game, my best bet recommendation would be taking USC over the team total of 33.5, even 32.5 if you want to lay some more juice. I'm not going to bet it. This is just kind of where I see it. If Illinois' defense is fugazi, I think that we do get a over for the Trojans. I just don't trust them enough to cover that big spread there. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm going to stay away from the 6.5. I would just look into the USC team total if I was going to get involved. Louisville and Pitt, we got another noon kick. I do like Pat Narduzzi and company. I actually think they're live on the money line at plus 155. A lot of turnovers last week, but I don't like this Louisville club, even though they come in 3-0. Pitt's at home. I think this is a great ACC matchup. The 3.5, you can even find a 4 in the market if you do want it. Backing the Panthers, that would be a lean as well. Next game, OU and Bowling Green, 7.5 there for the Bobcats. I think that if you can find a 7 in the market, fading Bowling Green, absolutely abysmal last week. OU, I think, is the real deal. They played Ohio State a little bit tough there to halftime, and OU and Toledo firmly the best teams in the MAC. I think that the Bobcats are the correct side. This one could get ugly, but with Maction, you just never know how much of a battle we're going to get there for the Falcons, and I do think that OU rolls in the spot, but no official play. Cincinnati in Kansas. I do like Kansas, the Jayhawks. I do back Jalen Daniels probably more so than not, and we were winners last week behind Jalen Daniels as they took down and dismantled West Virginia, and kind of where I'm at today, okay? Not in love with the 4.5. If this number was under 4, I probably would be on the side of the Jayhawks. Kind of my fishy little maybe alarm of the week. Not a big fan of Cincinnati and what they look to do, but Kansas would definitely be the side that I would look to get involved in if you were going to play this game, okay? Going down the board a little bit more, we'll talk about some of the games. I will kind of go over all the ones that jump off at the page of me. We're going to skip over a lot of them as well, but we're going to talk about the ones I do have official plays in and strong leans, okay? And that's where it's going to take us to the 3:30 games. San Diego State and Northern Illinois, okay? The Huskies there, 1-2 on the season. If you can find a 3 in the market, if you can find a field goal, that's the correct side. I would back the Huskies going against San Diego State, making a tough road trek as they do travel down to, I believe it's DeKalb, if it goes back to my playing days, and I remember all these MAC home locations. But I do think that San Diego State will ultimately maybe win the game, but I do think that if you can find a field goal, and if this number does move, but I don't think it will, I would be on the side of Northern Illinois in this game. The Buckeyes and Washington, this one came very close to making my card. I just don't trust Ohio State and Julian Sayin on the road. Washington last season was able to take down the #1 team in the country, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, at home. Looking to do that in back-to-back seasons, and I think Ohio State is, for all things considered, probably going to win this game. But I think that if you can find a first-half number here for Washington that is, applicable, I think that you could find a decent number. I wouldn't take them in the full game because I think that they can make halftime adjustments, and this one would ultimately end up in a win column for the Buckeyes. But Washington plus 4.5 at -110 in the first half is something that I'm coming very close to making a play on. Okay, it's not an official bet, but I do like that one quite a bit here in the market. So I just wanted to point that one out. I just, for all things considered, I think Washington's offense is a little bit undervalued. Not enough data points for me to get involved, but I don't want to just kind of anoint the first-year quarterback making a tough road start where, quite frankly, we've seen a lot of teams go down in the past, and that's kind of how I feel about the Buckeyes traveling out west in this spot. LSU and Ole Miss. This is another game where I think LSU team total is how I would approach it. If you wanted to bet this here in the market, you can find a pretty decent number still, and that's would be my best bet for this game. I think that Ole Miss is the correct side, but it's hard to bet against LSU. If you want to get behind Nussmeier and company, I think that very interesting game too. Lane Kiffin's daughter's dating the starting linebacker for LSU, so we'll see kind of how those family secrets go on. But if you want to take LSU over 27.5 team total, that's a bet that I think I would favor quite a bit. Minus 125 here. That's how I would approach LSU and Ole Miss. Okay. Going down the board a little bit more, we'll talk about the Indiana-Iowa game. This is a fishy number for me as well. Love Iowa's offense, a little sneaky, but as they do play in Iowa, not too high on Indiana. A lot of people like this number, taking Indiana up to 10. I just can't get there, so this is a pass for me. I'm not really willing to give the Hoosiers all of that credit. I think that there was a little misnomer there last week against Illinois. Maybe some fool's gold. We'll see kind of how this one shakes out, but if I was going to bet this game, it would be on the side of the over. I think that if Indiana does score, they do cover. I think Iowa does enough offensively where they just sacrifice to defense, and this becomes a kind of an old-fashioned shootout that we don't get too often when Iowa is at home. So I would lean towards that over 47 here in this spot, okay? Next game that we're going to talk about, Auburn and the Texas A&M. This will be an official play. I do want to back the Tigers here, okay? And the reason why, I think that as we look at Auburn, this is something where I think that this is Jackson Arnold is very undervalued. I watched that full game in entirety as they did lose in Oklahoma, and that's a tough place to play, okay? And I know they have to go right back into it, playing the 12th man down there in Aggieville. As we look at it, College Station, this will be a big 3:30 spot. A&M comes in this game 3-0. They look, all things considered, they look the part as well. So the SEC definitely stacking some meaningful wins early in the season. But I took Auburn +7, okay? And that's going to be one of my best bets. I think that that's just too many points. I know it's college football. 7's not as much of a value play as it is in the NFL world. But I think that as we look at this game, Auburn does enough defensively, and I think that Jackson Arnold takes them and keeps them close in this game. So I do like Auburn quite a bit. +7 here on the road. Next game that we will have an official play in, this is Rice and Navy, okay? And this is a play on my numbers, my power rankings. Navy's offense, 3-0 on the season. A little bit better than I think that the odds makers are giving them credit for. And as we look at kind of Navy and handicapping this team, okay, this is kind of where you look at them putting up 42 points on Tulsa, 38 on UAB, and 52, albeit against Virginia Military Institute. I think this is where the total here is going to be very low, in my opinion. I took an over 45 here, okay, between Rice and Navy. This is kind of my contrarian play. I just think that Rice, both of these teams, I feel will be in the 20s, okay? So kind of taking the 13.5 out of the conversation. Over 45 is my best bet between Rice and Navy. That will be an official play. And guys, I will recap these best bets at the end of the video. I know this will be a little bit longer. We have a full slate of action, but we're going to break this all down and keep this one moving, okay? The next bet that I will have an official play in too, Hawaii and Air Force. There's concerning numbers when Hawaii has to leave and get on a plane and go play inland, okay? And I think that that's where Air Force is a little bit better than their 1-2 record. I think that if you do want to back the Falcons here, I laid the 6.5, okay? If we can find a 6, if you want to wait till the 4 o'clock, closer to that 4 o'clock hour, I personally think this number may move to 7. I do like Air Force quite a bit, minus 110 at a minus 6.5 price. I'm backing the Falcons and kind of just a fade on Hawaii. I think that the Air Force Falcons get this one done at home, so laying the 6.5 at minus 110. All right, moving down the board a little bit more, Tennessee and Mississippi State. This is another need for Vegas, okay? They need the Bulldogs here, plus 7.5 to cover at home against Tennessee. I think a lot of people have seen some of the data points from Tennessee, and they're very much stock up. I agree with the moves. But for me, guys, in this spot, if you were going to bet this game, the side of Mississippi State is correct, okay? Going down the board even more, We'll talk about Memphis and FAU. A lot of people are thinking that Memphis, with their 4-0 record, their win last week, they're going to be live here in the spot. This is a side where it's ugly. This is the ugly play of the week. FAU is the correct number if you can find plus 14s in the market. I'm not going to get involved. Don't have enough of an indication to back it as official play, but just pointing it out that the fade against Memphis coming off of a high is kind of where I would see this game stacking up. So if I was betting it, I would take FAU plus the 14. All right, Alabama and Georgia. We'll talk about this. We have a couple 7:30 matchups that are going to be very much in play, and this is where we're going to look into the Crimson Tide and Georgia. I hate to say it, it's ugly, but the Alabama side, if you can find a +3, take that field goal. That's going to be where the shocking numbers kind of lead me to. Okay, playing on the road at Georgia, we don't get this in the regular season. We get it in the SEC championship a little bit, but most notably, never really too much in the regular season. And Alabama +3, that's the correct side. It's ugly. I'm not going to back it. I want to see them actually do something within Kalen DeBoer being in Tuscaloosa before I get involved. But if I was going to bet this game, I would be on the side of the Alabama +3. Okay. Next one, we're going to talk about James Franklin. Look for some continued failures there in Happy Valley. We will get a whiteout going against the Oregon Ducks. Tough spot for Dan Lanning and company going out to the state of Pennsylvania. And the Ducks +3.5 there. You can even find a +4 in the market if you want it. And I think that this is something where you look at the cover numbers. You talk about Drew Allar and what he's able to do, and he looks the part and all this good stuff for Penn State. And even going back to last season's matchup where if you watch that game early on, it looked like Penn State was going to get bludgeoned, and then they ended up fighting back. We had a strong over, I think, in that game. And looking to return serve here, I think that the Ducks, if you like Oregon, +150, that's how I would play this game, okay? A lot of people that I do respect and trust think that Oregon is the best team in the country. I even heard from somewhere that Oregon is 4 points better than every team in the nation right now from a neutral field standpoint, from an odds-making standpoint. I don't necessarily have them there that high in my power rankings, but the one thing I will tell you guys is I don't have Penn State that high either, okay? So I don't trust them. I just think that they possibly do return a lot of starters, and if James Franklin's going to win a big game, I want to see it first, and this is definitely the spot where he'd have to do so. So for me, guys, it's very hard to not take the +150 there with Oregon. So that's how I would stack up if I was going to get involved, okay? And going down the board a little bit more, that is kind of just the wrap-up of the games that I am going to be involved with. However, I do want to talk about my number one play, my best bet of the day. This is going to be Jacksonville State going against Southern Miss, okay? I laid a field goal with Southern Miss. This is my best bet of the day. It's, in my opinion, completely ugly. You guys are probably watching and wondering what the heck I'm looking at, why I'm taking these. We have all these great games, but why am I taking Southern Miss against Jacksonville State? Well, quite frankly, I think Jacksonville State is a little bit fugazi. I know they played Murray State. They lost to Georgia Southern. They beat Liberty, and also 17-10 lost to UCF to kick off the season. But for me, guys, this is one where I just think, quite frankly, that Southern Miss is in a great position here, and that's where we're going to take Southern Miss and the Golden Eagles to cover the field goal here. Just kind of I don't want to call it a contrarian play, but I'm just definitely on the side of Southern Miss, and like I said, this is probably my number one play of the day, laying a field goal here at home going against Jacksonville State. Okay, quick recap. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't done so by now, hit that like button, subscribe down below. Had some family stuff going on this weekend, so we are away from the normal scheduled time, but I still wanted to get out my 5 best bets and my breakdown of the entire card. So just a quick recap. We're going Southern Miss -3. Navy taking the over 45, also laying 4 points with Notre Dame. Auburn +7, and I did lay 6.5 with Air Force going against Hawaii. Okay, thank you all for watching, and remember to hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Also, my X account, Instagram, links are in the description if you want to join me on those platforms. I appreciate it, and good luck out there. Let's cash some tickets. We'll see you all tomorrow for NFL.